Not a lot going on with the Buffalo Bills this week, but it strikes me that there's that the retirement of E.J. Manuel really officially flips a page on the franchise, don't you think?
It does. I mean, they had already obviously moved on. He had moved on and whatever it was. The E.J. thing, and it's funny because Toby and I were there at the Combine that year. E.J. was an impressive guy. He was obviously overdrafted in the position he was. I still think the guy could have played NFL football. I think he was the victim of, again, the team forcing taking a quarterback. And then, as Toby knows, he was also the victim of Doug Marrone never really wanting him.
EJ's most impressive 2 games were the first 2 of his career. It all went downhill from there, and that told me, personally, that he was just in the wrong situation. Everything's situational, right? You look at Tom Brady. If he wasn't drafted by the team and the coach he was drafted by, and not behind Drew Bledsoe, who gets concussed, and then he gets a chance to get in there. Different situation. He may have been selling insurance in 4 years because he just never even gets the opportunity to show what he can do. EJ was in a terrible situation. I don't know if he was ever going to be a long-term starting quarterback in the NFL, but I know his confidence was gone. I know his personality was even eventually sucked out of him by Marrone and that entire group. It was just a terrible fit from the start.
Like, think about it this way. He is one unbelievably athletic interception from J.J. Watt return for a touchdown away from continuing to start that season. Like, that one play is what sits him down for Kyle Orton the next week. And you want to talk about mismanagement of quarterbacks? We've seen a lot of coaches come through Buffalo that did that. Doug Marrone has to be the A number one with an exclamation point because he not only did it in Buffalo, he went down and did it in Jacksonville.
And the problem with Marrone was this is when you have an organization that's not on the same page. And I don't want to go down the road. We do think these guys currently are on the same page, but at that time, Doug Marrone was looking out for Doug Marrone. Right. He wanted to win and flip and get out. He thought he was going to get the Jets job or the Falcons job, and we saw what ended up happening. So the moment he had a chance, and look, Kyle Orton played well enough that they won some games.
That's my boy.
And he did well, but it was Marrone saying, I'm not waiting on E.J. Manuel. So you got this young quarterback they dump after 2 games. Look, and none of us are sitting here pretending that E.J. was going to become a superstar. You really think he could have been? I think he could have been better.
I think he's a serviceable starting quarterback, right? And to a point where you might be able to make the playoffs with him.
And I go back to the Kevin Cobb thing. The Kevin Cobb thing worked out terribly for him.
If you look back and say, keep Ryan Fitzpatrick, you already gave him that huge signing bonus, draft EJ even if you drafted him then, you could have still sat him. He was the 16th pick. Instead, it's Cobb, he's hurt, EJ, and you remember, EJ played well even in the little bit that he played in the preseason that year, and then all of a sudden he's out there starting. And to Toby's point, he played 2 games, but they didn't have another guy.
Let's play revisionist history. Let's say Cobb doesn't get hurt and starts that season. You're just playing with it. Where does it go?
If Doug Marrone is still the head coach, I don't think he ever really buys in to E.J. Manuel as his future quarterback.
That's impossible because you would have Cobb there to get your guy ready. He's still a first-round pick, a top 20 pick. He would have had a better opportunity to show Marrone what he could do because the front office would have said, you have to do this. I don't know.
But ego overrides, too. You see this in a lot of... You see it with Arizona now. Changing quarterbacks, new coach,
I don't
know.
I mean, that's a massive mistake. I mean, look, this is the perfect example of why that would be a mistake, even if you don't think that Josh Rosen is the guy.
It all goes to that whole, are the GM and the coach on the same page, or you're bringing one in after you've brought in the other, and it's synergy is so important between those two jobs, because if you get one person who wants this guy, but the guy who's making the personnel decision wants another guy, and then you just do this and you clash constantly, you're going to always have a bad situation. I don't remember when that works out. When does that work out when you have a GM and a coach who aren't on the same page?
Cowboys, Super Bowls, that's about it.
Yeah.
But it's been...
Right. Just saying. And they were so superiorly talented. Look, EJ was a good guy who ended up with a career. He made about $10 million. He got his pension. He's moving on. I think he's one of those guys that's comfortable in his life. Good for him in that way. It ended up being a bad pick for the Bills, and they made it worse by handling it as poorly as they did. And his career never went beyond what it was, which was a glorified backup who got a chance to start some games.
Next week we'll spend the whole Bills segment talking about J.P. Lossman.
Cool. That guy got a bad break. I'm a J.P. Lossman fighter and apologist, and I will be till the day I die.